Hi everybody, welcome to Click to Learn More.
The show that sounds like clickbait, but is actually two dorks.
I'm Dorm.
I'm Lidi.
And today, Lidi,
Yeah, Dorm.
I'm going to be informing you about something.
What are you going to be informing me of?
Can you guess? You already know.
If I had to guess, I do already know. But
Yes.
if I didn't know, and I had to guess one aspect of your personality and your enjoyment of things in life, I'd say wrestling.
It is professional wrestling.
It is professional wrestling.
So today, just to kind of pitch the concept of the show, I'm going to be telling you about something I love.
You are.
And then every other week, we're going to flip. Or every week, I guess.
Yeah, so the basis of the show is that we have been friends for a year, almost a year,
Right around a year, yeah.
We know a ton of stuff about the things we both like.
Yes.
But know nothing about things that
Singularly
we like. Yeah.
Yes.
So whereas you are huge into wrestling, I'm kind of big into like true crime and murder.
And not wrestling.
And not wrestling.
Big into not wrestling.
Big into the not wrestling aspect.
So I'm kicking it off.
Yeah.
Apologies in advance if it's rough.
It's exciting.
Yeah, we're learning as we going.
Yeah.
As we going, not we're. It's a good start.
Well, I mean, that's a learning experience.
Yeah,
right
of course.
there,
Now I know not to say we. I'm definitely going to say we at some point.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
So let's talk about wrestling.
Please, yes.
What would you like to start with? Do you want to start with my interest in wrestling, the generalities of wrestling? Where do you want to start?
I want to know, how old were you when you first got into wrestling, and like what got you into it?
Okay, so I'm going to set the scene for you.
I'm ready.
I was born
You were.
in the mid-90s.
Okay. Oof. All right.
Now I'm going to take you to where I'm a little bit older, probably 97, 98.
Okay.
2, 3, 4 years old, somewhere in there.
Okay.
This is the height of what is known in wrestling as the Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era.
Yes.
Okay, so I was around... So I have two boy cousins that were super big into wrestling in like the 90s when there was like Goldberg and... we briefly talked about this.
We're right in the same spot.
Okay, so it's those kind of guys.
WCW,
okay.
which is where Goldberg was, existed from around... Well, existed. It was really popular from around 96 to 99, 2000.
Okay.
At that same time, WWF at the time, now WWE, was competing with WCW.
What's WCW?
Okay, so WCW... This is how it's going to work. Okay. WWF, which is now WWE, which was formerly WWWF, is what everyone knows as professional wrestling. That's Hulk Hogan, Eat Your Vitamins. That's John Cena. That's The Rock.
Eat Your Vitamins? What?
Hulk Hogan always said that.
He always said Eat Your Vitamins?
Eat your vitamins and say your prayers, yeah. It was the 80s. And early 90s.
Okay.
So it's John Cena, it's Stone Cold, it's The Rock. In, I want to say... So the way the WWF formed was there were a bunch of wrestling territories, because wrestling is a carny thing. So then it became like territories. So like there was Mid-South Regional Wrestling, there was Rocky Mountain Wrestling, there was Ohio Valley Wrestling, things like that.
So WCW stands for what?
World Championship Wrestling.
World Championship
We'll get to
Wrestling.
the start of them in a second.
Okay.
So WWF basically said, we're going to take Worldwide Wrestling Federation, but I think they had world and wide as different W's.
Okay.
And so they took a bunch of these territories and said, we're going to make them all one thing and we're going to put them on TV. Huh. That's how WWF was born. WWE now. There were a couple of territories that held out. The most notable being the NWA, which is...
So what is the NWA? Because that's...
Okay, so you're thinking NWO, and we'll get there.
Okay, all right.
The NWA was a territory they were called the National Wrestling Alliance, I believe.
You're right,
Somebody
I
will
am
correct
thinking
me.
NWO. Okay.
And so they basically transformed into WCW, which is World Championship Wrestling. Okay. Which was Ted Turner's baby.
What? Ted Turner?
Yes. TNT, TBS, Ted Turner. Yeah.
The Ted... He had a hand in wrestling?
So WCW was formed... I am rocky on these years and when this happened, but basically WCW was the main competitor to WWF. Ted Turner was so
so they have competing areas. So
they were competing for ratings. Who's going to be the biggest wrestling company, right?
So they're different companies. I thought that it was just like under the umbrella of one thing. Oh.
Ted Turner owns WCW, Vince McMahon owns WWF.
Okay, I know McMahon.
They're going against each other for ratings.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
So WWF, WCW, Ted Turner famously said, WCW is the future of professional wrestling. I love quoting that for some reason. Because it's dead and defunct now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
WCW does no longer exist. It was bought by WWF in 2001.
It's the future of nothingness.
So he kind of put his TV money behind WCW.
Okay.
it got really big because they were sort of edgier. So for context, this is in the mid-90s, around the same time as like South Park and late mid-90s. South Park, Howard Stern, this sort of shock culture, right?
Okay.
So WCW, instead of making this cartoony crap that WWF is making with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and all these people, we're going to make something for adults. And in 96, on July 7th, 1996...
Wrestling porn was born.
Well, you're actually not as far off as you would think.
Oh, no!
They were like bra and panties matches. It was a dark time in wrestling. But also a fantastic time in wrestling. It's weird.
For a young man.
Well, of course, but like, it's weird. It's as tainted as it is,
Taint.
held up. And so, July 7th, 1996, at Bash at the Beach, Hulk Hogan, who has now been bought over by WCW, they bought his contract, so he's now playing for WCW.
They trade them like baseball players?
So they buy out contracts like competing companies.
Shoot.
So Hulk Hogan was kind of dying out in popularity in WWF. WCW's like, we're going to take him. He turns heel, which is a bad guy.
I know that one.
I know why you know that.
Because it's a heel or a baby face.
Correct. Babyface is a good guy, sometimes referred to just as a face.
And when you mark out, it's when you're excited about something.
Yes. We'll get there as well.
I know some stuff, guys.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So the NWO formed, which is what you were thinking of.
Yes, the New World Order.
Yes. Which was Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan, all former employees of WWF.
Ooh.
So the angle was, these guys are the outsiders. That's what Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were known as.
Okay.
They added Hulk Hogan and became the New World Order, which is basically like, we're going to kill WCW from the inside, was their angle. They were all heels. And so this angle blew up. It was huge. NWO shirts were everywhere. Wrestling just got big.
I remember the black shirts with the white NWO.
Right. Yes, I have one now.
Of course.
So, in order to combat this, WWF takes a little bit longer to realize that they need to make their programming for adults.
Okay.
And so, the start of the Attitude Era is debated. When did the Attitude Era actually start, right? Was it with the formation of DX, Degeneration X, that people would say, suck it?
Oh, the crotch chop.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it with Stone Cold? Was it with...
I did that as a child.
Didn't know what it meant. Same. Had no idea.
Didn't know what it meant.
But I was like, suck it! And I was just doing this. I didn't know
Shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have either.
I was a young lady. Shouldn't have done it. Well, lady, but still.
So that is what was happening there. WWF eventually caught up. They were like, we need to be programming for adults too.
Okay.
And thus the Monday Night Wars were born.
Ooh.
Which is maybe the greatest stretch in wrestling. WCW had Monday Nitro. WWF had Monday Night Raw.
I remember
they
that too. They
competed head to head and would swap ratings. So like,
shoot, all right.
Which show can pull more viewers is basically what was happening.
Okay.
For a long time, WCW led. A couple of things happened. WWF took over. There's a really simple moment. We won't get into the details of that. I want to do a whole breakout on the Monday Night Wars, so I'm just touching on it now.
Just like
so for context, the Monday Night Wars happened really between 96 and 99. Those were the years.
Okay.
This was when I was like 3 to 5. No. 96. So 1 to 5.
You were 1 in 96?
Yeah, I was born in 95.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So, in that span of time was when wrestling was at its hottest.
Were you that big of a fan, like, as a little bitty boy? Like.
So here's what I remember.
Okay.
I remember my dad and mom watching it.
Okay.
My dad was more into it than my mom was, but my mom would watch it.
Okay.
Because it was like the hot thing, right? It was the same level of South Park and all those things.
It was
like
the thing to watch.
Yeah, because my parents, when I was born, were like 22, 23.
Oh,
so they were like my age now.
Yeah, okay.
And so my dad was super into watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just watched it too. I don't remember really when I was like starting to get into it. I've always I always had action figures. I always had like the little toy rings. I had shirts. There's a great picture of me, gosh, when I'm 4 or 5 maybe, dressed up as X-Pac from Degeneration X, which was the worst one.
The worst as in like the worst person, or as
the least good one. Like of all the ones I could have picked, I'd pick X-Pac, who was easily the worst.
The worst as in like nobody liked him?
Yes.
Or
so much so. No, they were super over.
Oh.
Over in wrestling means popular. If you get something over, you make it popular. The whole goal is to put yourself over, to put other people over. It's all about just being popular. So the reason there's all this
over.
Yes.
But over is normally like a bad thing. Like that's so over.
Right. the reason all this doublespeak exists is because it's a carny thing. So back in the carny days, and even predating like carny wrestling, but carny and territory days, you protected the business at all costs.
Okay.
You wanted no one to realize it was staged or scripted.
So it's no matter what. This is
Right.
real.
That's why they would talk in code like that. Over, babyface, heel, things like that.
So nobody knew what you're really saying is you're going to be the bad guy.
Right.
You'd say you're the... Okay. All right.
The term kayfabe,
Kayfabe.
which I don't really know the origin of.
Interesting.
Some people say it's like some weird pig Latin of fake.
Ooh, okay.
Kayfabe is basically the fourth wall, kind of. The suspension of disbelief is a better way to put it.
Okay.
So to break kayfabe is to say something that exposes the business as not being true. So you could break kayfabe by saying you're a heel if you're a wrestler.
Oh.
Or like
bringing attention to something that shouldn't be known as a code word.
Yes.
Or okay.
So that was a big thing then. That's why all the doublespeak happens. There's even a great story. I don't remember the wrestlers, but there were some guys. I think they were in the NWA before WWF formed. But they were feuding with each other, and all these guys used to travel together to save costs and all that. Mm-hmm. They were flying together. The plane crashed. One guy, in order to preserve it, filed his hospital bill under a fake name, and then just walked out so that they wouldn't be seen together. It's legit. Like it was life or death then.
It goes that far.
It is much less so now.
Wow.
So that's why all the double speak exists, and you kind of know it if you do, and if you don't, it doesn't really matter.
Interesting. Okay.
Back to my experience with wrestling. So from around, my first memories watching wrestling. I don't remember like being not into wrestling as a kid, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's always just kind of like been in your childhood.
Right. Okay. Until around middle school. So 2006, 2007-ish.
Wow.
Easy way to remember it, whatever grade it is the year for
me.
The fall of that year. So I love how upset it made you that I said that. So that was when I...
have my own slow death creeping towards me.
So I think there was... I'm stalling a lot. I think there was a time where I probably knew wrestling was scripted, but just kind of bought into it anyway.
Suspension of disbelief for a little bit. Okay.
There are a lot of wrestlers, by the way, I'm saying scripted or staged and not fake.
Okay.
A lot of people take issue, including myself a little bit, with the word fake.
Okay.
Because they're still performing these moves.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like, you wouldn't call a stunt guy jumping off a building and landing on a pad fake.
Right.
You call it
scripted
staged or scripted.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They're still taking that.
Yeah, they're still physically doing these things. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It may be that it's planned, but it's not. Yeah. It's not a fake thing.
So that's, and my clapback usually is like, well, so is The Walking Dead. So is Game of Thrones. Like, don't dismiss it as fake because it's
most
a TV
entertainment
show.
is considered fake or scripted in some way. It's normally scripted.
So, around probably middle school was when I was like, I did the thing every middle schooler does, which is just like, I'm not going to believe in this anymore. I'm too old for this. I'm too cool.
I'm too grown up. Yeah.
And that was sort of my point of getting away from it.
Okay.
That was also, just so happens, to be probably the worst stretch in wrestling.
Oh, no. Okay.
So I got really lucky because I missed the bad years from around... Now, granted, there's going to be good stuff no matter what.
Yeah.
From around 2007 to like 2011 was really when they were kind of like struggling to get their footing again. Okay. Because the Attitude Era was over.
So which group is this?
WWF, sorry.
WWF.
I never clarified. Okay. WCW was bought by WWF in 2001 once they failed.
So
WWF
McMahon bought out Ted Turner.
Yes. Ted Turner's now dead.
Because of what happened.
Sure.
McMahon. Be on the lookout for him.
Vince will get you.
He'll get you.
But
he's gonna get me now for saying that.
Oh no, he probably will.
Sorry.
He's gonna make you the new XFL team.
Oh no! What does that mean? Oh no!
You're now a mascot.
Aww.
It's gonna be the.
Do I have to wear an animal head on?
Cincinnati Liddies.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
The Cincinnati.
Perfect.
Love it.
Yeah. So That's what happened there. And then WWF is really the only company, like, they are the NFL, right?
Right.
There are...
When you think wrestling, you think WWF or WWE. Right. Yeah.
The reason they're WWE now and we're WWF, World Wildlife Fund sued them. World Wildlife Fund
Oh,
had...
shit, that's right. Okay, so that's like it's the panda logo.
Yes.
For the World Wildlife Federation or Foundation?
Fund, I think? Yeah.
Fund? It's just a bunch of pandas wrestling is all it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 is you don't talk about Panda Fight Club.
What's rule number 2? You
don't talk about Panda Fight Club.
You just put this on a public medium.
Dang it.
Now the McMahons and Pandas are going to get you.
Now the Pandas are going to get me.
McPandas.
McPandas.
Vince McPanda.
Oh, man.
So yeah, they're World Wrestling Entertainment now.
Okay, so it's entertainment instead
not
of
Federation. Because Federation made more sense when they were the territories combining. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the lull. The thing that got me back into wrestling, so I still watched WrestleMania every year. Okay. Even though you weren't like super into it, yes. So you still had like a devotion to it that far. There was a buddy of mine growing up with in high school who was still super into wrestling. Okay. And so he would invite everybody over and make food and stuff. Similar to how people who don't watch football watch the Super Bowl. Right, yeah. I would watch WrestleMania still, even though... And I kind of had a tangential knowledge of, okay, that's Batista. He was still there when I was there. He was Drax. Oh, shoot, yeah. Batista is actually in Guardians of the Galaxy now. Now you're speaking my language. Yeah, of course. All right. Or, there's John Cena. I remember him coming up, but I don't remember his rise. So I would kind of keep up with it through him talking about stuff, through watching Mania and maybe the Royal Rumble every year. Okay. Which is my favorite pay-per-view. But by and large, I wasn't really keeping up with it. Okay. In my freshman year of college, so 2013. 2013 to 2014. NXT, which is the minor leagues of WWE, was kind of becoming a thing. So what does that stand for? Next. Yeah, I know. It just stands for next? Basically. Okay, it doesn't stand for anything. You had WWE, WWF... WCW. Yes. All which stood for something. Yes. And then they just have NXT. NXT is just NXT. It's just that's just it. Yeah. That's the brand. Okay. So WCW, WWF, WWE, their letters meant something. Yes. NXT just meant next. Yeah, basically. So NXT, for those of you who are familiar with sports, familiar, that was the word. For those of you who are familiar with sports, NXT is basically the developmental league for WWE. Okay. So basically, if they sign guys who are big on the independent scene, which are companies that exist outside of WWE. Okay. They're known as the Indies. The Indies. Ring of Honor, PWG, New Japan, although New Japan's becoming huge now. If they're big on these sort of fringes and WWE signs them, they might send them to NXT to learn the WWE way of wrestling. To learn what's next. Yeah. So NXT is actually where a lot of cool matches happen because they're these big characters that we all know as wrestling nerds. Like Adam Cole, baby, who is currently in NXT. So he's NXT. Okay. Yes. So how is NXT connected to the current WWE? So the way it works, you're in NXT for whatever period of time. So it's like a trial run? No and yes in a way. More no than yes, but okay. So NXT has its own championship. Okay. Has a women's championship and has a tag team championship as well. Okay. And so, if you're the champion down there, or if you just do well in NXT, if your character gets over with the crowd, if you kind of prove yourself, that means it's popular. Yes. If you kind of prove yourself in NXT, you will eventually get called up to the main roster. Okay. So you'll make some big debut or come in and ruin somebody's match, and we all kind of know when that's about to happen. Usually, there are certain moments of the year. The Raw after it's still called Raw. The Raw after WrestleMania is a place where a lot of debuts happen, because it's kind of if you think of WWE, it runs all year. Okay. But if you think of it in seasons, it has season. Well, no, but the season ends in Mania and starts again the next night at Raw. So that would be a smart place to debut new characters, right? Bring out new people. Right. So blood. And they sort of reinvigorate the roster. Okay. So that's where they go. So where's Alexa Bliss? Alexa Bliss started in NXT. Okay. And then came up to the main roster about a year and a half ago. So she's in WWE. Yes. Now. She's on Raw. She's on Raw. There are two separate brands now.
So much
I
information.
know. WWE has 2 shows, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, which is on Tuesday nights.
So they have Monday and Tuesday just like taken.
Raw and SmackDown have separate rosters. And therefore
Rosters.
And therefore separate belts. So like the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is on SmackDown, the Universal Championship is on Raw. It's a dumb name. Then they each have their own tag team belts, they each have their own women's belt. Alexa Bliss is the Raw Women's Champion, Charlotte is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Do people
from Raw ever fight on SmackDown?
So they cross-pollinate at the big 4 pay-per-views.
Okay, that's the only time.
Usually.
Okay.
SummerSlam.
So it's kind of like when you see a character from a movie in a different movie.
Yes.
So it's like when Ant-Man showed up in
but a little more regular
Captain
than
America
that.
Civil War.
Yes.
It's like that, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Like when the Flash and Arrow cross over. It's a little more regular than...
I don't watch the CW versions. Oh.
So the big 4 are SummerSlam, which happens in the summer.
Okay. Ooh.
Good name. Survivor Series.
Which happens on the Survivor Island.
Yes, which happens around Thanksgiving.
They vote people off. Okay.
The Royal Rumble, which just happened about a week ago as of this recording,
in
January.
In England?
And then WrestleMania, which always happens around the first week of April.
Okay.
So those are your big 4. Those were where those brands will cross over or have matches on the same show.
And then you'll just see anybody possible.
Yeah.
So is there a schedule that comes out that's like, this person's going to be there and this person's going to be there? Or is it oh my god, this person's there? Like
a little bit of both.
Okay.
If they want to sell tickets, they'll pre-announce things.
Ooh, that's a good point.
So like, if they really wanted to, you never enter a pay-per-view not knowing who's wrestling.
Okay.
It's similar to like a UFC pay-per-view or something. Like they come out with the card.
Is there a lot of speculation as to like so-and-so could be there?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have scratched at the surface of a huge underground sort of community known as the dirt sheets. Dirt sheets in wrestling are basically rumor mills.
Why are they called dirt sheets?
I don't know.
That's
just what they're called. Dirt sheets.
Like sheets of paper.
Like sheets of paper, yeah.
Or sheets on your bed.
Yes.
Dirty
dirt
bed sheets.
I think because they're the sheets, like the papers that have the dirt. They have the dish.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I would rather dirty dish.
Nope.
Nope.
Dish sheets?
Said it, hated it.
Yeah. So the dirt sheets are always about who's John Cena wrestling at WrestleMania. Our inside guy says The Undertaker or whatever. So that is sort of a hotbed of rumor.
He would beat the crap out of him, by the way.
Yeah, well.
Undertaker.
Well, maybe.
Not John Cena. Did that happen?
No, but it might this year.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker's like 90 years old.
For his retirement. He kind of fake retired last year, so it was kind of open.
He died?
No, I just left his gear in the ring. Did that happen? We're kind of past the whole dead man thing now.
Oh, so he's not... Okay, so this is where my knowledge kicks in.
Sure.
Because this is like where my whole like childhood of wrestling comes from. Because my cousin had a VHS tape of wrestling when I was a kid. And I am one for conspiracy theories. And,
of course.
And stuff like that. So...
And you love murder.
And I love murder.
So you're an instant Undertaker fan.
So I'm instantly an Undertaker fan. He had a video that he would watch like religiously. And there was a part where a wrestler was on the mat... And someone else comes in and tags him out.
Oh.
Tags this dude out.
Yes.
And, like, they were twins. It wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You weren't supposed to see it. But I saw it. And me being like, I don't know, like 8. And being like, that's scripted. No. Yeah. And I remember that, like, that's the one, like, wrestling thing that sticks in my head. Is like, that was poor production.
So I imagine that was actually on purpose.
Really?
Yes. I don't know why in the world they would do a switch like that and not have it be storyline.
I don't remember the rest of it, but I do remember there was a guy who was like knocked out on the mat, and 2 people were fighting down in front of it, like on the outside of it, and then another one came in and that guy sat up and that other guy laid down.
Right.
I remember thinking as a kid, like, you're not fooling me.
Okay, so it's possible they worked that into an angle.
It very well could have been a storyline. That's where my brain stopped because my attention span is like bloop, that long. So as far as it goes.
But the thing that got me back into wrestling was watching. No, we're totally good. I got off topic too. Was my buddy, the same buddy who I watched WrestleMania with, showed me the first NXT special, kind of a pay-per-view, but it was on the WWE Network, so it wasn't pay-per-view. And in it, two ladies named Paige and Emma wrestled for the first, to be crowned the first ever NXT Women's Champion. They were debuting the belt.
Okay.
And it was phenomenal, and it was... So my skew of women's wrestling, unfortunately, was bra and panties matches and mud fights and all these kinds of things.
Right. I loved shorts up at their hoo-has.
Yeah, I loved Lita and I loved Trish Stratus, who are kind of the founders of women can actually wrestle. And I wanted to...
China?
So China's interesting. Lita and Trish Stratus were kind of the forerunners of women's wrestling as far as we're two women who can actually wrestle and we're going to put on a good match and you're going to watch us.
Okay.
China sort of did that in a different way. China didn't really wrestle a lot of women. Oh. She wrestled more men.
Really?
Yeah, so she was...
especially in that...
A Night in China. She... So, actually, the guy in that tape...
Yeah.
X-Pac, the guy I was dressed up as.
That came full circle.
Sean Waltman.
That came full circle.
That's his actual name.
That came full circle.
It did. So did he.
Proud of it.
China...
Ni hao.
China was the first woman in the Royal Rumble, which is back before they just had their first ever women's Rumble. So
it
was only men. She won the Intercontinental Championship. She won a men's belt. She was the first woman to ever win a men's belt.
Shoot, all right.
She won the Hardcore Championship, maybe, which was like hitting each other with chairs and stuff.
She's still alive?
No, she died.
Okay, thought so.
Yeah,
she was a big lady.
Yes.
Like a very muscular lady.
Bodybuilder type, yeah.
Yeah, like a very intimidating
scary
lady. Yeah, like an intimidating woman.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't wrestle her.
So while those three were kind of doing that, there were also... So Trish Stratus, one of the girls I mentioned, who is probably the greatest women's wrestler of all time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, most people would say it's either her or Lita.
What?
Trish was a fitness model who then learned how to wrestle.
Oh, shoot.
And she took to it like a duck to water, like just learn how to do it.
Okay.
So then they thought, oh, why would we get women who are trying to learn how to wrestle? Let's just get a bunch of pretty girls and teach them how to wrestle.
Oh.
Trish was a very special case.
Right.
So there were a lot of sloppy matches.
Ooh.
So women's wrestling became the pee break. Because no one wanted to watch.
So everybody would walk away.
Yes.
Oh.
That would be the break in the pay-per-view.
That's a shame, because they just wanted pretty ladies.
Right.
So is that the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling?
So Glow Glow is one of the territories that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
So they were in kind of that era.
Okay.
So that was sort of... They were still trying to wrestle, I think. At least a little bit.
Ooh, okay.
These were more... Oh, hey, she was in Playboy. Let's get her.
Oh.
And they would do a divas search. They called them divas. They don't do that now. Yeah. Thankfully.
They did. I remember the diva thing.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's the women's.
Yeah.
Men and women superstars as opposed to superstars and divas. It was very patronizing for a while.
Yeah.
But that changed recently. And part of that movement was Paige and Emma at NXT, which was the match I was shown. That sort of seeing that and was just like, it was just the moment. And then the rest of the card was amazing too. So I was just like, all right, I'm getting back into this.
Yeah.
And now
so you were what age?
Like 18, 19.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't... I thought that was still going to be like little kid.
No, so from about 10 till about 17, 18.
Wow. Okay, so you went for a while kind of on the outskirts of it.
Just
not really
Mania.
part of it, but kind of like casual. So would you consider yourself still a casual wrestling fan?
No.
Or okay, so how would you describe yourself now?
I am... There are wrestling fans more intense than me, sure.
Okay.
I am more intensely a wrestling fan now than when I was a kid.
Is there a reason for that?
I think I just appreciate it more.
The artistry of it?
Yes,
like
sort of the way, the technicality of it.
Okay.
The way good moves work, the way storytelling works, the psychology of it.
Okay.
The in-ring ability, the mic workers, all that kind of stuff.
So as a kid, it was like, yeah, they're fighting.
Yeah. I love The Rock.
Right.
The Rock was my guy, by the way. If he was a heel or a babyface, loved him. So much so.
Wait, did he switch?
Yeah, so he turned face.
What? They can turn?
Okay, yeah. So this is
awesome.
Talk
about this. Okay.
This is the best part of wrestling.
Okay.
Arguably, is when you have a really good heel or face turn. So turning heel means becoming a bad guy. Turning face means becoming a good guy.
Okay.
And those are heel turns and face turns. So The Rock started out similar to a Superman character, kind of.
So did he start out babyface?
Yes.
So like,
as this bright-eyed, big smiling Samoan babyface called Rocky Maivia.
What?
His dad was Rocky Johnson. His grandpa was Peter Maivia, both wrestlers.
So he
took their names, Rocky Maivia.
Okay.
Crowd hated him because he had no charisma whatsoever. He was just happy to be there, and I'm going to wrestle, and I'm going to win. And so
he win a lot?
Yes, he was witness sort of the modern, like the modern example would be early Roman Reigns, I guess, but not as much as Roman. So the crowd started chanting "Die Rocky Die." I mean, they hated him. Die Rocky Die is like infamous.
That's miserable.
Yeah.
People said that to this. All he did was smile and want to wrestle and have a good time with his friends.
He's boring.
You don't tell him to die.
They meant the character, not him. So
people are mean. I think they meant him.
So then he turned heel.
Okay.
Because the crowd was booing him, so you might as well take that heat in wrestling. Heat is when someone doesn't like you.
Okay.
So if you have a lot of heat, you're being booed a lot. You can even have heat backstage with people. Heat is just a general, people don't like you.
Okay.
He had a lot of heat, so they figured, okay, well, if he has a lot of heat, people are going to want to see him lose. Let's turn him heel. So he formed the Nation of Domination, which was him, Farouk, the Godfather at the time was not called the Godfather, and I think one other member. But it was a stable of 4 badass black dudes.
It's very alliterative.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a word.
Do you know what a stable is? Sorry.
Where horses go?
Stable is a group of wrestlers.
Wrestle horses?
Yes. The 4 Horsemen were a stable, so you're not...
Oh, shoot!
You're not that far off.
That's kind of meta. I like that. I like that a lot.
So a stable is just a group of wrestlers.
Within a certain team?
Yes. So they align together. Maybe don't wrestle together. Sometimes they're tag teams. Sometimes they're, one guy might come down and help the other guy or something.
Okay.
So there were 4 badass black dudes. And, this was around the same time as, Queen Latifah and Erykah Badu wearing, sort of the African clothing. Do you remember, the little pillbox hat kind of things?
Yep.
So they kind of had that look.
Okay, cool.
And there, he found The Rock.
Oh.
So he was, not literally, but he found himself as a character.
Okay.
Rocky Maivia became The Rock.
So he was Rocky.
Yes.
Then he became The Rock.
Yes, which him being turned heel made him learn how to talk, and we all just kind of found out with him that he could talk so well.
Okay.
So then the Nation kind of disbanded. He was still a bad guy, aligning with Vince McMahon, and because he was a character now, Mr. McMahon. That's a whole nother story.
That's something else. Okay.
And so he got so good as a heel that people started appreciating how good of a heel he was.
Oh shoot!
So they started cheering him.
Okay.
So then he turns babyface.
What? Okay, so he got too much attention as a heel. He was doing too well.
People loved how much he would just put people on blast.
So because he was
This is where Jabroni comes from. This is where Candy Ass.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, SmackDown Hotel, all these things.
So he was such a good heel
bad
he
guy.
Became a babyface?
Yes, he was such a good bad guy. People were like, this guy's awesome.
And then
he's really good as a bad guy.
So everybody was like, guess what? Flip the script.
Now he's a good guy. He's still cutting the same promos. He's still acting the same, but now he's...
So what made him a good guy as opposed to a heel?
Character traits, I guess.
So he's still acting the same, but...
Yeah, maybe less so in ring. So instead of cheating, he would win honestly, that kind of thing.
Huh. So how do people know that they've become a heel or become a babyface?
It usually, hopefully, happens in an event. Sometimes it can happen slowly.
Is this one of those behind the scenes, I've got the mic and I'm yelling about things?
Sometimes.
And
a lot of times it's an action.
Okay.
So there is a really infamous thing that happened in 2014.
Okay.
There was a group called The Shield. This was while I was still kind of away from it, so I wasn't super into it just yet. I was watching Shield matches, but I didn't know about this. They were called The Shield.
Okay.
Roman Reigns, who the pillow of is in there.
Yes.
Seth Rollins.
I forgot the pillow.
And Dean Ambrose, who I mentioned jokingly the other day.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
The 3 of them were unstoppable. People loved them. They were the best stable in years. They came out in basically SWAT gear and would just rush people in the ring, destroy them, and then leave. It was awesome.
What?
Yeah.
They were swatting people?
Kind of, yeah.
In the ring?
This predated swatting, but yeah.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
To imagine. They would just all run out.
So they came from the crowd every time they entered. They would enter through the crowd and then be there for their match.
That's fantastic.
It was awesome.
Instead of coming out through the big giant way that everyone else came down, they
were basically mercenaries. They were kind of like mercs.
Ooh, I like that.
But kind of, they were tweeners. Tweener in wrestling is someone who's not clearly face or heel.
A tweener?
Yeah. So they were tweener.
Okay.
But they were so beloved that everybody was like, they're baby faces.
Okay.
There was a time on Raw in Indianapolis where they were all three standing in the ring.
Okay.
And Triple H...
Three tweeners. I remember him. Yes. Okay. I remember him.
Who is now like an authority figure. Kind of like the boss, the manager guy.
Ooh, okay.
Who is feuding with the Shield at the time. They had just lost... So Triple H and a couple of his buddies... I'm not going to get into it. They had just...
I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just lost to the Shield. Okay? At some pay-per-view. So he was like, well, since we couldn't beat you, there's always a plan B.
Oh.
Seth Rollins takes a chair and hits his teammates on the back. He just turned heel.
Oh,
that's how it works. So there's usually...
And nobody knew it was going to happen.
People were stunned. People were absolutely stunned.
So he was a babyface and he became a heel in that moment.
Yes, in instant. That's the way it usually happens.
That's so dramatic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The best one... There's
I get it now.
There's one really infamous instant of a double turn. Which is when a heel becomes a babyface and a babyface becomes a heel in the same moment.
Okay.
Bret Hart, your boy.
My boy!
Was wrestling Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. My good friend Austin.
Yeah. Crush a High Life and then crush Vince McMahon's skull. They were wrestling each other at WrestleMania. Okay. In a submission match.
So, Bret was a heel.
Bret was a good guy.
He was a babyface. He was a babyface, and
Austin was a heel.
Okay.
This was sort of right as Stone Cold was becoming a thing.
Okay, yeah, but he became... Okay, got it.
There's an awesome moment where Bret put Stone Cold in a sharpshooter.
What's a sharpshooter?
It's his finisher. It's a submission hold. You basically take a dude's legs, cross them over your own. Okay. So, imagine someone laying down on their belly, right?
On their belly, okay.
Yeah. You pick up their legs, cross them around your own legs, and then kind of sit back. So their back is arched.
Ouch!
Right?
Okay.
So that's the hold, and then he's propping himself up with his hand. So it's kind of like a wheelbarrow, but Bret's facing this way, Stone Cold's facing that way.
Yikes.
And they'd been, Stone Cold had bladed earlier. Do you know what blading is?
No, what's blading?
Blading is when you take a razor blade, cut your forehead, so you bleed.
Why?
To make the match look more real.
Wait, do you see him do it?
Hopefully not. It's supposed to be...
They do this on purpose?
Yes. So imagine I hit you with a chair, right?
Uh-huh.
You want to make it look like...
Hit you with a chair, so you cut your
forehead. Forehead is the best place to cut because there's nothing important and it bleeds easily.
Thin skin.
Yeah. So just blood rushing down his face.
So it's his actual blood, it's not fake blood.
Yeah, it's his blood, yeah.
Why not use fake blood?
Because how are you going to get it there?
A little capsule. You put it in a little tiny capsule.
It's going to be so obvious. It's not going to bleed. It's not going to bleed like actual blood, too.
But that's so that's quick.
There's some mighty fine scars on some older wrestlers.
That squeaks me out. That squeaks me out. I don't like the idea of bleeding his own blood on people. So
a big thing is you have to be tested like crazy when you wrestle now.
Yeah.
They don't blade as much anymore because PG, but
it's a well-known term.
Blading, yes, yeah.
So fans know of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And sometimes you just bleed naturally. Sometimes you're actually hit. You take a bump. Yeah. A bump in wrestling is just exactly what you think it is. If you take a bump, you just take the fall. If I were to powerbomb Jay, then Jay would take the bump, right?
I want to learn at some point how people can jump off the Hell in a Cell and survive. They land on tables. They land on people. Mm-hmm. Are they really doing this?
Yeah. I mean, they're doing it. Table breaks the fall.
But is there a cushion?
No.
How are they not dead? Some of them died. I mean, there's been wrestlers who have died.
But it wasn't wrestling. It was a zipline malfunction. He was ziplining into the ring. Bret used to do that. Shawn used to do that. And Bret did.
Straight down? Is that
yep,
the one that feels
onto the
down?
ring pole with his head. Killed him. Anyway,
oof.
Bret had Stone Cold in the sharpshooter.
Right.
Stone Cold would not submit, would not tap out.
Okay.
Which is how you would lose the match.
Yeah.
Bret just kept holding him in it. So in that instant, Stone Cold looks like a badass because he won't give up. Right. He just will not give up.
Yeah.
And Bret looks like a bad guy because he just keeps grinding this back.
Yeah.
So that they double turned.
So
it can be subtle.
Okay, so...
But people call that the double turn.
So why wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin, still a bad guy?
Because he was just so badass.
So being... That will turn you into a babyface?
Sometimes.
What?
So
in that moment, does everybody know, or is it kind of a like...
That one specifically is gradual. Okay. That was a slow burn sort of...
Okay.
That's sort of the moment where they both turned, isn't it? Yeah. With Seth, with the steel chair.
Okay.
With Seth with the steel chair.
That's an obvious one. Okay.
Kids are going to hate him instantly.
Right. Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's so much more to wrestling than I
There's a lot of minutia.
So, like, when I was growing up, and like I said, my cousins were into wrestling, like, to me it was, there's a bunch of dudes in trunks and Speedos, like, flopping around, and, well, it's scripted, the end. Like, that's all it was when I was growing up. But there was so much more than I was actually aware of. Like, you basically just barely touched the surface there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's still so much stuff.
I mean, to provide something else, there are general aspects of wrestling. Mm-hmm. So there is in-ring ability, which basically is how much of how good of a between the ropes wrestler are you?
Okay.
So how good are you at doing moves? How good are you at taking moves? How good you are at communicating with your like the person you're wrestling about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So there's in-ring ability. Okay. Some people call them technicians.
Okay.
Then there's mic skills, which is, as you can imagine, how good of a talker are you?
Yeah.
A lot of times, people will have one or the other.
Normally not both.
Hopefully both. But sometimes people will be better naturally at one or the other. Mm-hmm. Like The Rock, pretty good in-ring worker, but amazing talker.
Yeah. Okay.
John Cena, pretty good in-ring worker, amazing talker.
Okay, so everybody hates John Cena.
Kind of. Not anymore.
Okay. Because he was all about, like, making kids' dreams come true, and apparently that
hustle, loyalty, respect.
That like upset a lot of people.
So John Cena was Superman for a while.
Okay.
He was infallible. He could do no wrong. Heel? No, he's never turned heel in his career. He was kind of heel early in his career. Once he became sort of... So there was Thug Life John Cena, and then there was the John Cena you know now. The brightly colored...
I remember the whole Thug Life thing.
It's Crazy Thugonomics. That's the lyric of the song.
I do remember. He had a song!
Word Life, this is Crazy Thugonomics.
He had a song.
This is Crazy Thugonomics.
I remember.
And now he has... You know that one. So, that John Cena.
Yes. You can't see me, John Cena.
Yeah, would always overcome the odds. That was the thing. How will John Cena overcome the odds? And people got so tired of seeing him overcome the odds.
Yeah.
Because he's the superhero for kids that we... The smarks, a mark comes from carnivals, right? And a mark isn't exclusive to wrestling. So, like, if you're going to con somebody, you find your mark.
Okay, yeah.
Same sort of thing. That totally if you find somebody who's going to buy into what you're doing, that's your mark.
That's your mark, okay.
So in wrestling, a mark is someone who's just a big fan.
Ooh, okay.
A smark is a smart mark, a.k.a. someone who knows what's going on behind the scenes, like me.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on day to day, but I know about kayfabe and stuff. Okay. Sometimes smark is used as an insult. You're being too much of a smark right now. You act like you know too much.
Ooh, so we can... Ooh.
Like if I had a wrestler in the room right now, he might shudder at me talking about kayfabe and things like that.
Ooh, okay.
Because there's still a little bit of that. You protect the business.
You don't talk about this stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Or because I've never wrestled a match, then you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know, yeah. You don't have the knowledge of blah, blah, blah. Okay.
So... When I say marks or smarks, that's what I'm talking about. So the marks of the adults, basically, were getting tired of Cena, and the kids loved him. So this created sort of this weird dichotomy.
Because they want to be a little more adult.
Yes.
A little less childish.
And that's where the John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks.
So when you went, you sent a Snapchat of you guys singing this.
That's where that came from. They've done a good job in the past 3 or 4 years of not having him be... infallible. He's put a lot of guys over, which means usually losing to them. So
making them more popular by him losing.
Yes, so he's
because everybody loves him.
Well, because
everybody hates him. So push someone else over
because he is such a well-known entity. So someone beating John Cena is a big deal because they just beat John Cena, as opposed to beating some low-life mid-carder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So where does he stand now in the?
He's sort of just kind of there. And that's a good way to put it. Like
Jeff Angel.
Yeah. So, he will probably be in the main event again soon because he's about to break the record of WWE championships.
Okay.
Ric Flair currently holds it. Yep. With 16. John Cena also has 16. So at some point he's going to get 17 and take the record. Okay. It's an inevitability. It's going to happen.
Will he ever turn Mark, do you think?
Will ever what?
Will he ever turn Mark? Or sorry,
turn
not
heel?
Mark, but heel.
Sorry, there's a lot of words.
Will he ever turn heel?
No, not this
Will you
point.
ever Mark for John Cena?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we all like Cena now because we're like, all right, he's in on the joke. He gets it.
Yeah.
One time he got in the ring, this is true, and was like, oh, I keep hearing you guys want to see me heel turn, and went like this with his foot.
Oh, okay.
So it was like that right at the height of his like Mark heat too.
Okay.
It was crazy.
All right.
So he's in on it, and like I said, he's not winning championships and not like overcoming the odds now. He's helping put new guys on the stage. Yeah. Kevin Owens, who I went as Halloween one year.
Okay.
Who looks like he could be my dad.
All right.
On his first night, beat John Cena clean. Beating someone clean means with no distractions, no disqualifications, no cheating. Beating someone clean
in wrestling?
Yes.
How like chairs, like
sure if
them out of the
if
ring?
It's not a no DQ match, yeah, hitting someone with a chair while the ref's back's turned.
Why would the ref?
Using the leverage of the ropes to pin somebody, so like sticking your 2 feet up on the middle rope while you're pinning somebody, that's not allowed.
That's dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Shoot, that's dirty.
So that's those are heel tactics.
Oh, I would be a heel.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I would love being a heel.
I would be a heel. Yeah.
So Owens beat Cena clean as a whistle, which is
the
way people say it.
Okay.
On his first night, and instantly that made Owens a main man. Like he was a star because nobody does that.
So Cena's just making professions. Like he's just making people.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah. That's his sort of role now.
He kind of seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, and that's there is a we love hating you, but we don't actually hate you kind of vibe with
your
Cena.
character is kind of like but you seem like a cool
we have come to terms with the way Cena is now because he's not, like I said, he's not Superman anymore.
Right. Ooh, it would be so interesting if he went heel though.
It would have been, yes. Now
it wouldn't.
Because he's kind of lost his
squeaky
clean.
So back when he was the Superman character, if he had gone,
he's closer to retirement than he is turning heel.
Really? Okay.
He's probably got 5-6 years left, maybe.
So what's the average lifespan of a wrestler?
That's really depends.
Because we've got Undertaker, who's how old now?
Don't know.
He's from
55.
Kentucky. Do you know that?
That's a lie, but I know what you're referencing. He's from Texas.
Do you know he's from Kentucky?
That's so funny.
Don't look it up. It's true.
Buddy of mine went to high school with him. So yeah, so it can be a lot of times wrestling careers are ended not because they want them to, right? Injuries,
right?
Usually. Yeah.
People get a lot of head injuries, like actual head injuries.
Concussions are huge, yeah.
Yeah, which I wasn't aware of because I always assumed that it was like we were talking about it being scripted. Like I always assumed that it was the fake, but you can't.
Ideally,
yeah,
but things go wrong.
But you can't do that in a live match, like with all these people in front of you. Like you have to make it look as real as possible, right? So you have to get as close as possible. I
mean, one thing they've dialed back on is what people now refer to as an unprotected chair shot. So, guy has a chair, hits somebody in the head. Back in the Attitude Era, when I was first starting wrestling, to bring it back, people would just take it. Just sit there and and that would be the shot.
Yeah.
Now, they do that. Right? So that they're not taking their head damage.
Yeah.
So you're getting it hit with a steel object.
I know they'll do the thing where they like slap their leg or stomp their foot or whatever to make the noise that it would make if it actually hit. Because I think part of, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the enjoyment of being a wrestling fan is not believing 100% that it's real.
Absolutely.
It's that this is a form of entertainment that I enjoy. Yeah. Like it's like watching a TV show.
Right.
You know it's not real.
Right.
The characters aren't real.
Yeah.
You still enjoy it. Like there's no, what's the difference?
And there's nothing quite like a big spot. A spot in wrestling is just a marquee moment, basically.
Okay.
There's nothing quite like the rush of seeing a spot you've never seen before or a big spot. Like there was a match recently, a couple Saturdays ago, where Adam Cole, bye bye. Adam Cole, bye bye. So normally we've seen people set chairs up like this.
Okay.
Right? And powerbomb a guy through that.
Okay.
He went like this. And sort of like gleamed the edge of both of the chairs. And we were like, what's happening? Well, of course, as is usual wrestling logic, if you set something up, you're probably taking that.
Yeah.
It's usually, you get flip turn around because it's good storytelling.
Yeah.
So, guy picks him up on his shoulders and dumps him, and the middle of his back, no joke, hits like that, and he like bounces off. It was the sickest thing I've ever seen. Like, that is of course it looked like it hurt, but he was fine.
Right.
And so the majesty of, holy crap, they just did that.
Yeah.
And he's okay, but that looked awesome.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thrill.
So it's a little bit like back to the Age of the Gladiators, right? It's like...
Sure.
It's this, like, pure, unbridled, like, show of physical force.
Yeah.
With still kind of this
umbrella...
Dying. Right. With this umbrella hopefully. Of, like, there's not a lion running loose, killing everybody. Like, there's a little bit of some kind of rule somewhere in there. There's so much more to wrestling than I thought.
We'll get back to it, I'm sure.
So much more than I was aware of. Like, I know a bit of it, but that's so much more than I was aware of.
I have compared it to other things in the past. I think anime may be the best comparison, where it's like, you kind of have this preconceived notion of what it is. I'm saying this as someone who's never really watched anime.
Right. Until you're in it.
But the people who are in it know a lot about it and love it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see it. Like, I think a lot of people, and I mean, if you want to do this is fine. I think a lot of people write off wrestling as being something either for kids or for rednecks or for whatever, right?
Right.
But it's not. I think if everybody were to understand it a little bit more, everybody would like it. Not everybody, but a larger majority than what people do.
Yeah. It gets a bad rap, I think.
Yeah,
it does.
For sure.
I think it does. So now there's just one WWE?
That's the main company.
Okay.
New Japan, which is a Japanese company, New Japan Pro Wrestling, is sort of the next biggest company.
Ooh, okay.
Which makes sense. They're in a different market, right? But this is getting interesting because now super smarky people are watching both.
Ooh.
I've watched the last few Wrestle Kingdoms, which is like their pay-per-views.
Wrestle Kingdom?
Yeah. Happens in the Tokyo Dome. Early January.
So much of this is...
This is on my wrestling bucket list to go to Wrestle Kingdom.
This is blurring the lines between wrestling and anime right now.
Right, exactly,
Yeah, you're in the middle of it right now.
So, there are even some characters that have their own anime.
Oh, shoot.
Tiger Mask, I think, has one. So, yeah, New Japan is sort of the next threat to WWE.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they're never going to take WWE over.
Right.
But there are some guys over in New Japan that are winning a lot of Western eyes. So we'll see.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Competition's good. Makes everybody better.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never have thought that there's that much information about wrestling. Like,
yeah, it's its own language.
It has grown and evolved so much since I was a kid. Like, and granted, I only like briefly touched on it when I was a kid, but that's so much stuff, and you know so much about this. Like, this is like, you know so much stuff about this.
I mean, I could talk for another 4 hours.
Well, I mean, now I know stuff about it too.
You do. Now you'll know when I say like, "Oh, I marked out."
Right, and now I know what that means.
Yeah, Adam Cole just turned face or something.
Baby.
Thank you.
Adam Cole, baby.
Well,
that's it. I think.
I guess that's wrestling.
Gosh, that's the first installment of wrestling, and you've taught me
wrestling, a 20-part series.
Wrestling, one of question mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how we label our tweets. That's it.
Lydia, I hope you learned something.
I did, Dorm. I did learn something. That was really educational and very interesting, too.
Cool.
I hope I asked good questions.
You did. You kept me going. I probably spiraled at some point.
Yeah, we kind of went back down.
NXT kind of threw you.
Yeah, I still don't agree with that. I still don't think that's fair.
They're a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. That's all right.
Lydia, where can people find you?
People can find me at twitch.tv/TeamLiddy. Where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Stormstreams.
Oh, what do you do there?
I stream games.
Do you?
Yeah, with you
Video
sometimes.
Games? Yeah, sometimes with me.
Also, dormstreams.co.
Yeah, dormstreams.co. Check it
out.
Not
.com. I don't own that one.
Not .com.
It's taken.
Like co.
Like
co-streams. Hey, what's up?
You did it.
So, I've learned a lot about wrestling today. And next time I'm going to learn you something. Oh. We don't know what yet. You don't know what yet. I know what yet.
Yeah,
you don't know what yet. Are you scared?
Yes.
You should be.